Yo, what's up, internet? It's your boy Vaughn B. The K-pop Demon Hunters was kind of a phenomenon a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so, that I kind of resisted looking at. It looked cool, but I heard a lot of people liked it, some people didn't, and it didn't necessarily interest me or turn me off. But I just never got around to watching it. So I was just chilling on YouTube, and I saw that the Critical Drinker decided to give his 2 cents in about it. So I thought I'd check that out. I don't know, maybe he'll convince me. All right, let's get into it. All right, here we go.
Never let it be said that I don't listen to my audience. And one of the things they've been saying very loudly over the past couple of weeks is, Drinker, you should watch Kpop Demon Hunters. It's positively bitching. Drinker, you're always complaining about a lack of good female leads. Well, Kpop Demon Hunters shows you how it should be. Drinker, exactly the kind of thing you should be covering, or I'll find out where you drink. Shut up! All right.
It also helps that there's like nothing to talk about right now too. So
fine, I'll watch it. Are you happy now?
2 hours later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, let me caveat that by saying that 40-year-old white guys from Scotland are probably not the target audience for this movie, and I'd be like,
hence the mixed reviews by everyone says that it was good, but he's probably gonna say that it's kind of not targeted towards him. I guess this is kind of a Barbie situation.
Fine if I said this was the kind of thing I'm normally into, which is probably to its credit, really, because if even someone like me can watch it and be entertained, well, it must be doing something right. And thinking about it now, K-Pop Demon Hunters actually does a lot of things right. Things that Hollywood seemed to have forgotten about 10 years ago, crafting a neat little narrative around a trio of goofy, likeable characters with a surprising amount of depth and complexity, a playful jab at the excesses and absurdities of K-pop music and the obsessive fan culture that surrounds it, a modern exploration of Korean folklore and spirituality, brought home by impressively good animation and an annoyingly catchy soundtrack that sticks with you way longer than it should. Believe me, I know. It's not exactly
kind of sounds like Frozen. So Disney knew how to do this. For some reason they completely forgot, or they fired everybody who knew how to do it because they were white men.
deep or life-changing, and at times it glosses over stuff that probably needed a bit more screen time, but what it is a fun, charming little adventure that left me thinking, yeah, that was alright actually. So join me, my little soda pops, as I give you a rundown of the plots. The movie's set in Korea and centers around an ongoing war between demons trying to consume the souls of every human on Earth, and the people fighting to keep them sealed away in the underworlds. They do this by creating a magical energy barrier called the Hon Moon, which is maintained and strengthened by harnessing the collective goodwill and spiritual power of humanity through the power of song. Yeah, just stick with me on this. Each new generation sees the creation of 3 new demon hunters whose job it is to come together, inspire humanity through their music to strengthen the Hon Moon, and kill the occasional demon who manages to sneak through gaps in the defenses.
So it sounds like Buffy with a soundtrack, which could be cool.
In this case, it all culminates in the present day with Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, who've come together to form the K-pop group Huntrix, or Hunter X. Ah, fuck, I'm old. Anyway, Huntrix have become a worldwide sensation, selling out arenas and going on world tours. The girls are prepping for the release of their biggest song yet, Golden, which should in theory be enough to finally seal the rift between our world and the demon world forever. But then, oh no, lead singer Rumi starts to lose her singing voice. Whatever could be at play here? Well, it turns out that it's more than just a bad case of laryngitis. Young Rumi's actually been hiding a secret from her bandmates this whole time. She's actually half demon herself.
No way! Yes way!
And the demonic influence is becoming increasingly difficult for her to hide. Meanwhile, the demons themselves are getting a bit tired of all this shit and hatch a plan to destroy the Hon Moon so that they can invade Earth in full force. Their plan is to send a bunch of hot young demons in human form to create a rival boy band called the Saja Boys that'll steal.
Okay. All right.
Peel away Huntrix's fans, weaken the Han Moon until it finally collapses. Things are complicated when the leader of the Saja Boy.
All right. Okay. Now I can kind of see how Sony had. This is a Sony movie, and they sold it to Netflix for $20 million. Because while the animation looks good, if you actually told someone this story, they will look at you like you was crazy, and like that's not gonna make any money. That's gonna be very niche. So when I heard about like Sony losing out on this, I couldn't really figure out why. Maybe if I would have actually watched it, then I would have known that. But yeah, given how he's describing it, it's one of those things where like, how did this make so much money? But I guess he's gonna elaborate on that a bit more.
Boys falls in love with Rumi when he recognises a kindred spirit in her. But when the two bands are pitched against each other in a televised competition being broadcast to the whole world, which side will ultimately emerge victorious?
So it's a demon versus Slayer like versus, I guess.
Now, what I'm describing probably sounds completely bonkers,
Yeah.
because it is, but part of the charm of K-pop Demon Hunters is that it knows how silly it is, and instead of backing away from it or trying to tone it all down to make its story more grounded, instead it just says, fuck it, and throws itself right in. It dares to have fun with its goofy premise, and it invites you to have fun too. Director Maggie Chang apparently wanted to tell a story that would fuse together ancient Korean mysticism and folklore with the ultra-modern K-pop of today, and if that's the case, then well, mission accomplished, Miss Chang. The movie definitely takes a few swipes at the flashy, superficial, overproduced excesses of K-pop music, the manufactured stars and rivalries, the rabid fan bases, and the insane workloads, but for the most part, it all feels pretty good-natured and fun. I've talked a lot on this channel about the problems modern Hollywood seems to have with writing decent, well-rounded female characters who actually feel like human beings, either serving up boring, flawless, idealized fantasy figures who are never allowed to fail at anything, or brash, arrogant, abrasive girl bosses who bulldoze their way through everything and everyone around them. But
Well, the problem is the people who write this have either narcissists or they have like weird image problems, and they figured if they can change the world, the way the world looks at stuff, it would improve like how people view them, kind of thing. Kind of like a weird thing where you don't fit in and you're giving enough, someone gives you enough power, you try to change the world so that you can feel like you fit in more. But the problem with that is people will accept you for however you are. You just gotta know that you're different and kind of learn how to compromise on stuff. And most of the people who seem to be like writers nowadays don't seem to know how to do that. Like if you ever hear them talk, they usually sound a little weird. Because it's something that's not quite right.
Kpop Demon Hunters does something almost unheard of in modern entertainment. It gives us a trio of female characters who are actually likable.
Surely you can't be serious.
What?
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I know, I was just as surprised as you, but ignore the hyper-stylized visuals and you'll see that the Huntrix girls are a quirky, funny, and charmingly goofy group of friends, each with their own hang-ups and insecurities that gradually get exposed and tested in the course of the movie. Obviously, Rumi's the centerpiece of the group and the movie, but the other two play well off each other, and I love how the animators give them crazy anime-style facial expressions when they're super excited about something. On that
This is basically why the first Charlie's Angel reboot worked and the second one didn't. The first one with Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu, they were kick butt girls, but they all had flaws. So they all had their own issues or whatever. And they were very distinct. And so people can relate with them. And like when they redid it, when they rebooted the reboot, all those traits went away. They were all like Supergirl bossy, can beat up everybody, all that kind of stuff. Like the first one, they actually had issues, like when they fought people, like they had to use their heads because they were smaller. So it's just like they were portrayed as actual women, not superwomen. So that's, like I said, that's why the first one did much better than the second reboot.
Subject, I should probably give a nod to the visuals here that lie somewhere between Arcane and Blue Eye Samurai in terms of style, fluidity, and detail. It's not the most technically impressive animated movie you'll ever see, but it's definitely got a style and character all of its own, and some of the musical numbers especially are fucking packed with energy and creativity. Beyond
Well, that's what you kind of need is your own style. Like you should be able to look at something from a distance and tell what it is based off of just how it looks. Like so much animation nowadays, it all looks like the bean mouth thing, and it's like the same stuff over and over and over again. Just kind of turns into this sludge that where you can't really figure out what is what, and none of it is appealing. The thing that I notice about this is it's very stylized and it is very appealing. All the people are attractive who's supposed to be because people like to look at attractive people, males and females. That's just kind of how it is. And it's like it's a perfect storm kind of thing, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe I need to check it out because it's nice to look at. Story seems to be pretty good, even though sounds a little goofy, but I don't know. All these millions of people can't be wrong, you know?
the superficial stuff though, I think there's some neat themes in this movie about the importance of personal acceptance, understanding differences, and overcoming prejudice. Rumi's struggle against her demon heritage is a pretty obvious stand-in for anything from racial or sexual identity to social isolation or even body image. Whatever you care to project onto it, the film's message about coming to terms with our flaws and differences and accepting them as part of ourselves instead of trying to suppress or erase them is a pretty universal idea that works well enough in this context and generally doesn't come across as preachy or overbearing. Likewise, Jinu's an interesting antagonist with more depth to his character than you might expect, and a few revelations about his backstory that reframe him in different contexts throughout the story. In other words, he's not 100% evil, but you can definitely understand why he is who he is, and to some extent how demons come to exist in Korean folklore. They're less the evil monsters that we imagine over here in the West, and more like flawed spirits haunted by guilt and shame. It's one of those weird little things that's hard to define objectively, but I think sometimes you can just feel when a movie was made with good intentions instead of the writer projecting all of their personal hang-ups and petty grudges onto the screenplay, and Kpop Demon Hunters is definitely in the former category.
This is basically why Thanos worked. Because Marvel, you don't have to agree with like his reasoning, but he had one. He had a reason to do what he did, and it was flushed out. So by the time you got to the not so much Endgame, because people had issues with Endgame because he kind of reverted back because they went back in time, his character reverted a little bit, but he had a motivation for doing what he did, and in his mind, like he was the hero of the story. That's why at the end, when he did what he did, even though it cost him a lot, he retired to like a farm and he was at peace with himself. Because in his head, he succeeded in helping people. There's a saying where the villain is the hero in his own story. And that sounds like that is the case in this movie.
If I had to single out any flaws in this movie, I'd say that some characters and narrative elements aren't all that well fleshed out. Like Celine, the girl's trainer and a former hunter herself, who doesn't get much in the way of backstory or explanation. She's just kind of there, dropped into the narrative whenever it's convenient and then forgotten when it's not. Likewise, Rumi losing her voice and grappling with the demonic influence taking over her is a pretty major plot point for most of the movie, but I'm not sure I completely understand how it gets resolved. It just kind of goes away because the plot needs things to get moving along. I guess it's kind of implied that her relationship with Jinu helps her come to terms with who she is and make peace with it rather than struggling against it. But again, I'm not sure what that means for her character going forwards. Is she just like a good demon now who never has to worry about falling to the dark side again, or what? Ah, whatever. You're probably looking at the wrong guy to be understanding the finer points of Korean mysticism. All this is kind of just nitpicking though, and it shouldn't detract from what is for the most part a pretty enjoyable movie. I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but I had a lot of fun with K-Pop Demon Hunters. It's definitely not my usual genre, and I'm guessing a lot of people watching this video either won't care or might be actively repelled by the visuals and the hyper-energetic pop music. But all I'll say to that is that if you can look past the superficials, well, there's actually a decent little story to be enjoyed here. And if you're able to go into it with an open mind, well, you might find a bit more here than you expected. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch it or not, but it's probably one of those when it gets nice and cold, I got much else to do kind of thing. But I wish that more movies were better like this, where you get one every now and then where the person who wrote it actually knows that you're supposed to write a story first and have compelling characters, and all of that is what makes people want to watch the thing. So it's pretty interesting. All right, well, on that note, I am Spawn B. This is the Gaming and Culture channel. Please like, share, and subscribe and all that stuff, and I will leave a link to the drinker's video in the description below. All right, later.